In the golden age of kickboxing, there was a sudden death elimination tournament, where 16 masters from all different backgrounds and styles came together to test themselves for honor and for glory. This was the legendary K1 Grand Prix, where the best talent all fought multiple times in one night to determine who was truly the greatest in the world. We began in the epic 1997 Grand Prix, where 11 of the 15 fights ended by KO. Now in the semi-finals, the field had been narrowed down to just 4 last competitors. Only 2 would progress to the finals to prove who was truly the greatest martial artist in the world. Ernesto Hoost was a highly experienced Dutch kickboxer, known for his earth-shattering leg kicks and his sharp, punishing checks that were actually capable of knocking out opponents. His nickname was Mr. Perfect, and he had a record and highlight reel to justify it. Francisco Filho was a Brazilian karate practitioner who once fought 100 competitors in just under 3 hours. He had earned a place in this year's Grand Prix by knocking out Andy Hoog, who he had knocked out years before in a pure karate competition. He had progressed to the semifinals by taking out his first opponent in under 10 seconds. Coming from a karate tournament background, Filho's style was all about striking fast and striking first. His toolbox contained a lot of spinning kicks, snapping roundhouses, and a long-range sidekick that doubled as a teep. Filho decided to break the ice with a spinning hook kick. However, Hoost easily deflected this off his guard, while intercepting with a rear leg roundhouse. Filho nodded his approval, acknowledging that Hoost was not to be taken lightly, faking a jab into a spinning hook kick of his own. And now it was Filho who countered, snapping out a side teep to make Hoost miss by a mile. The first round was half over, and neither man had made any kind of meaningful progress. When a fighter can't slowly build on some kind of advantage, then the only thing to do is take more risks and go for it. Hoost edged forward across, but it didn't matter because his last strike, a hard leg kick, hit the mark, connecting just to pay Hoost back. He feinted 2 teep, then blended the third into a hard axe kick that chopped down on Mr. Perfect's head. He then built on his success, finally landing a spinning back kick. Hoost clearly wasn't a fan of having advanced techniques landed on him like he was some kind of novice. He immediately launched into an insane combination. Hoost split step to lead with a cross, shifted into a left straight with a high knee, then drove his knee back and hopped directly into a switch step to set up a chopping right roundhouse. But he wasn't done. He then used the retraction of his kick to load up one more straight right. It was a brilliant, incredibly complicated display of footwork. Despite this, Filho's immediate counter right still found a home. The fight now devolved into a slugfest. Just as things were heating up, the first round heaped to cover distance, then fell into a hook-cross combination. Hoost faded back, staying just out of range by hopping mid-kick and targeting Filho's head. Missed. Filho responded by kicking his ass, literally, even if he was unable to do so figuratively. An impactful blow was finally struck 1 minute in. Hoost moved in for a jab, and Filho intercepted with a roundhouse mid-shuffle, knocking the Dutch stylist to the canvas. But Mr. Perfect got his revenge right away. He ducked under Filho's overhand, then drove him into position for a hard leg kick. The strike caught the Brazilian on one leg. He stumbled, but amazingly kept his balance. Filho looked to respond with another axe kick, but this time Hoost got underneath and charged forward, throwing him to the floor. Filho tried a head kick, then V-shifted, intercepting Hoost's combo with the body kick that actually lifted him off of the canvas. Filho throwing the lead hook, then waiting for Filho to lower his leg before slamming a roundhouse home. Filho's next overhand was dealt with the exact same way as before. with Hoost ducking under to push him off angle and set up a hard leg kick. The second round ended with a little more clarity than the first. Both men continued to target Filho's support leg whenever he threw a spin kick. And he once again punished him for his knee bar by obliterating Filho's leg the moment he stepped down. As expected, the unanimous decision went to Ernesto Hoost. However, every video in this series so far has ended with a KO, and we're not going to start breaking that tradition now. Luckily, the other competitor who would be progressing to the final battle had a quick and spectacular KO in the quarterfinals. Masaki Satake came out guns blazing against the blue-eyed samurai, Andy Hoog, backing him to the ropes. Hoog missed a counter, then shelled up, ducking into Satake's chest to throw a no-look hook. The punch grazed Satake, backing him up. Hoog straightened up and got his bearings, then countered Satake's wild hook with a perfectly timed left to the head. Satake hit the canvas, and though he tried, could not rise for the count. Be sure to stay tuned for the conclusion of the K197 tournament arc. Glory Kickboxing just had an exciting modern-day Grand Prix, and if you're interested in even more kickboxing action, check out their next event on April 27th. For the Modern Martial Artist, this has been David Christian, wishing you happy training.